If you cultivate an idea, you refine it, you make it better. So maybe you start out with an idea, right? You start out with one thing, and it's not, as you're learning more, it's not exactly what it is you want to do. So you have to change it a little bit. You have to modify it. You refine it. You make it better, right? You break off the parts of it that don't make sense, and you make it better. Cunningly. What does cunningly mean? If something is done cunningly. What about with cunning? If something's done with cunning. Sneaky? A lot of times you kind of think of something that's cunning as being a little bit sneaky, maybe. Marked by or given to artful, subtlety, and deceptiveness. So kind of sneaky, right? Artful, subtlety. Do you guys know what that means? Do you know what it means to be subtle?
Yes.
Give me an example of being subtle.
So if you're, someone's breath's really bad, and then you don't want to tell them that, you're like, here, you just tell them dumb on it, and subtle, but you're not telling them, you make it
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And did you have an example? Okay. So something you do is like softly and just kind of, you're not gonna walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, you got a thing on your face." But you might walk up and say, "Hey, you just kind of like point to it, and they might know. I got that. But you're not just gonna come out and just yell. Subtle is sort of being like kind of quiet and just being a little bit, just kind of smooth about it. But it also being cunning also means that there might be just a little bit of deceptiveness in it. You're being cunning. You might not be telling the full truth, right? So when you come up to me and say, Mr. Bittner, I didn't do my homework last night because I got really busy with cheer practice. Yeah, that's it.
I never said that.
Now, is it possible that you didn't do your homework because you got busy with something? Yes. But are you being just a little bit deceptive in why you didn't get it done? Maybe instead you got busy with cheer practice, you were too busy with cheer practice, it was because you were too busy watching Bring It On, which is about cheerleaders. So it's research for being a good cheerleader. So it's okay. You can be just a little bit deceptive, right? So being cunning or saying something cunningly show that it has a little bit of subtlety to it, or a little bit of deceptiveness, or both. All right. Provisions. Oh, I forgot to ask you what you thought provisions.
It's easy.
Provisions are necessary supplies. Necessary supplies. Can anybody think of an example where you would have to have provisions? Okay. A war. You would have to have provisions in a war, yeah. What kind of provisions would you need in a war? Yeah, you would have a really tough time if you didn't go to a war without guns and training and armor and stuff. What else? What other things do you need? Or what's another example where you need provisions? First, you have to have provisions to come to school. And nobody walks in on the day with nothing. Just goes, I just showed up.
On the first day?
I don't
know what he had.
I don't know what I need, right? When I was I enjoyed the way that they've evolved. In school, you just sort of, you went to school on the first day with nothing. Really, you might have a backpack and your lunch. And then when you got to school, they would give you a list of the things that each teacher expected you to have, so it was up to each teacher. Now you can go to Walmart, right, or Target, and they have a list. Just print out right there. You can go to the website.
It said
Yeah, you can get the Murphy School List. These are the things that you need to come to this school, right? And depending on what neighborhood or area you live in, I live in Joliet. There's 2 different Walmarts within 5 minutes from my house, but they're in 2 different school districts. So if you go to one, you're gonna find a whole bunch of all their racks are gonna be filled with Joliet schools. If you go to the other one, they're all filled with either Plainfield or Troy schools. And so you can go to, depending on where you go, you get those lists right there to know what provisions you need. What's another place where you might need provisions? Another time when you might need provisions.
like
Enrique.
a job.
Maybe your job.
Like you need supplies for.
All right. Different jobs need different supplies. Going camping. Going camping. What's the number one most important provision you have to have when you go camping?
The campfires.
Clothes.
Oh, all right. All right. I wasn't gonna say bug spray. I was gonna put s'mores at the top of my list. A bug spray probably more important than s'mores. You gotta have stuff with s'mores. If you go camping, you don't have stuff with s'mores, then I don't. Then you're not really camping.
I don't like.
All right.
Delicious.
Moving on.
Aw.
Fetid. Fetid. Does anybody have a guess what the term means?
I don't fit it.
Fetid.
Sounds familiar.
Fetid. Yes.
Upset.
Not really upset. We'll see what it means.
Happy.
A dead, no wait. A dead animal left in an enclosed place would produce a fetid odor, right? A fetid odor. It's something that's just putrid. to use another word. It's offensive to your senses. It smells like death, basically. Like it does. It smells like. I'm trying to think of a really good example.
Like rotten eggs.
Here's
Zombies.
Here's a good zombies. It smells like zombies. Here's a decent example. When I lived in Hawaii, one of the big problems that we had in Hawaii a lot of times is there's little geckos everywhere. They're all over the place. They're everywhere. And they're great because they eat all the bugs, right? And so when you get a couple of geckos in your house, you don't worry about it because they eat them and they eat the spiders and they eat all the other little bugs that get into the house, right? In fact, you actually don't mind the spiders either because they eat all the flies or whatever other bugs there are. So you get spiders in and geckos in. You don't mind them because they eat all the other bugs that get in the house, right? Now, the problem with the geckos though, is the geckos will occasionally do silly things like get trapped inside of your couch. And they can't get out. And then they die. And then one day you're sitting on the couch watching Monday Night Football and you're like, what stinks? And of course your immediately reaction is, it's gotta be my roommate. Like, he was eating some chili earlier, it's gotta be him, right? But then he leaves and he's gone and and he goes to work or whatever and you're still sitting there. And he's like, it stinks, what is it? And it's that fetid odor. That odor of something that's died and is trapped in a place and you can't. So you finally pull all the cushions out because you're like, there's got to be some nachos under here or something, some old pizza. And what is it? It's a gecko. So you get some gloves and you throw it away, right? So fetid is the smell a dead animal will leave in an enclosed place. All right, what do we got? Question? Yeah.
Okay. How can an animal that tiny make something so disgusting?
I don't know.
Rats.
Next one. Oh, all pervading. Spreading throughout, or through or into everything. Something that is all pervading is one of those things that will it spreads throughout everything. You can't really stop it. It gets into everything. It starts showing up everywhere. I think the best example of this, there's a lot of different things you can think of.
Hair.
Okay. I think the best example of something that has been all pervading in like our society is there's a particular song that it just shows up everywhere. Like you just sort of Gangnam Style, right?
It used to.
Everywhere. It just no, but it still does. This is and it hasn't gone away yet. This is how I know this.
It's not dead.
3 weeks ago, I was at my let's see, it's my wife's aunt got married, right? My wife's aunt is 62, 63, right? She's in her 60s, okay? She got married. She was married a long time ago. Her husband passed away. She's been single for a really long time. She actually just met up with her high school sweetheart that she hasn't seen in 43 years. They ended up getting married, right?
Wow.
So it was actually really sweet. But we were at the wedding, right? We were at the wedding, and you guess what song played? Yeah, well, it's still played. They don't even know the song. They don't even know anything about the song. It still shows up there.
You know what?
It's all pervading. You see it in commercials. You see it in TV. The guy for it has a commercial for pistachios, right? It's all pervading. It's in everything. So
It's so.
even the big one that's starting out this way is the Hump Day Camel commercial, right? It's I actually just heard on the radio this morning. It was on our announcements today. I say it as I walk through the Wednesdays now. On the radio this morning, I heard that everybody knows the Dallas Mavericks, the basketball team. Apparently, they did a commercial to advertise when their tickets were going to go on sale for the next season. And it's Dirk Nowitzki walking around the offices, like the Mavericks offices, and he's like, "Hey, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? It's game day!" And he's doing the same thing, but he's just mocking that. So that commercial is all pervading. It's starting to get into everything. You're starting to see people say it. It's starting to show up everywhere, right? It's one of those little cultural things that's starting to show up. Okay, kangaroo court. Anybody have an idea what a kangaroo court is? Anyway,
It is where kangaroos play basketball.
where kangaroos play basketball. All right, anybody else have an idea? Anybody else have an idea about a kangaroo court? What is a kangaroo court? Yes.
Kangaroo habitat at the zoo.
Okay, a kangaroo habitat at the zoo. That's the kangaroo court. Where when you go into the kangaroo exhibit, that's where the kangaroos are. It's called a kangaroo court, right? What else? Any other? Enrique, do you have another idea?
According to kangaroos, but instead of basketball, they had a jumping.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They have jumping games. All right. So let's see what it actually is. A kangaroo court is an unfair, biased, or hasty judicial proceeding that ends in a harsh punishment.
Well then.
So that's a kangaroo.
That's
That's
not kangaroos playing basketball at all.
That's very different. Now, what would an example of this be? Can anybody think of an example? Is it always a getting? Not necessarily, because getting grounded could be a very fair punishment. So it could be a very fair punishment. You got to think of it as it has to be unfair. What happens is unfair. It's biased. Does everybody know what biased means?
No.
Do you know what biased means? They don't look at both sides. It's not even. When it starts, they are already convinced that one person is guilty, right? It is already they are already for one side over the other. So it has to be unfair. It has to be biased. It also has to be hasty, so it's done really, really quick. And then finally, it's a harsh punishment. Okay, if somebody were to go to jail for something they didn't do, this is actually part of the reason why we have the judicial system that we have in the United States is because a lot of times what would happen is someone would get involved in this type of idea, a kangaroo court. They would come in, they would be charged with a crime. And they would be charged with this crime not because the people had any evidence that they did it whatsoever, but because they might fit the profile of someone who might do this, right? Or maybe they just happened to be in the area at the time when the thing was committed, right? And because there's no real evidence backing it up, but they need to convict somebody quickly, they just go ahead and convict them. And so that there can't be any retrials to prove that they were innocent, let's just hang them right away, right? Examples of this happen a lot out in the Old West. Do you know what one of the biggest crimes in the Old West was? Stealing, but stealing what? There's a very specific thing it would steal.
Silver? Gold?
No, more valuable than gold and silver.
Diamond.
Nope.
Dynamite? Horse saddles. Horse saddles.
Not horse saddles.
Horses.
Horses.
How is
Horse
that
thief.
valuable?
Horse thievery was the most. Horse thievery was probably the most common crime in the Old West. Do you know what the punishment for stealing somebody's horse was? Hanging. You stole a horse, you got hanged. Which would be the same today as if you stole a car, you got hanged.
Really?
Now, is that a
You
fair?
were hanged?
Does that seem? Do they still? I think it's still an option someplace.
Not here.
Yeah.
Way here.
But
In Texas it is.
I'm just comparing it, guys. I'm just comparing it. So, is that an unnecessarily harsh punishment for stealing a horse?
Yeah.
Now back then it was kind of close because horses were their only means of transportation, and a lot of times horses, a person's horse, how much money you spend on a horse, it could be a year's worth of pay.
Wow.
It could be a very large amount of money that someone would pay for a horse, and replacing one was not always very easy. And if you stole a horse and left someone stranded, that could also be, they could end up dying from that. So there were reasons for it. So it wasn't totally harsh, but it was a little harsh. It was pretty harsh to hang somebody from stealing a horse. And a lot of times they wouldn't necessarily have to have a trial for it. So basically, imagine that let's say Brooke stole a horse. Brooke stole a horse, but she didn't want to get caught stealing the horse, so she immediately sold it to Jacqueline. And Jacqueline wasn't sort of like the nice Jacqueline that we all know. Jacqueline was kind of a rough character. You know, she fought for the South in the Civil War and ran away out west because she didn't want to get prosecuted for being a Southern soldier. So she ran out west. She was a gunfighter. She was kind of a nasty citizen, right? Well, the sheriff comes along and he can't prove that she's done any other major crime, but all of a sudden he sees her riding a horse that has Zach's brand on it, right? Because that's who Brooke stole it from. Now, did Jacqueline actually commit a crime? Did she steal the horse? No. She bought it, thinking fair and square, off Brooke. Because of Jacqueline's character, the person that they thought she is, who are they gonna think is gonna steal the horse? Jacqueline, right? Immediately, right? She's a Southern rebel. She was one of them, and she's a gunfighter, so she's no good. And she probably doesn't have a steady job. She's just out working for anybody who will pay her to shoot people, right? That's what Jacqueline does. So immediately, if you're a sheriff and you come across her and she's riding Zach's horse, what are you gonna think?
Well, you did it.
She did it. Immediately, right? You're biased. You're immediately biased because of who she is and what she does. So you're immediately biased towards Jacqueline. You don't have any proof because Jacqueline's going to tell you, I bought it from Brooke. And Brooke's long gone. She's in Mexico by now. Right? She's in Mexico. She's just chilling. She's waiting to steal some more horses. Right? So it's unfair. It's unfair. It's biased. And because Zach's mad that his horse is stolen, he wants justice right now. And he doesn't know who did it. He wants it right now. So what do?
Kill me.
They just hang her. Is that...
Why would you do that to me, guys?
That would be a kangaroo court.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke. Kill your best friend?
So that would be a kangaroo court. An example of a kangaroo court. It's an unfair, biased, hasty judicial process
She's honest.
that ends in a harsh punishment. Okay, it has to have all of those elements to be a kangaroo court. All right, moving along. Apprehensive. Apprehensive. What does apprehensive mean? You're apprehensive about something.
I think I know problems now.
I'd be apprehensive about buying another horse from Brooke. Jacqueline, what does it mean?
Like uncertain, I'm sure.
Uncertain? Zach?
Like you want to do something?
Okay. You kind of want to do something?
Skeptical.
Skeptical?
I'm never hesitate to do it.
Okay.
Fear.
Kind of fearful.
Simple.
I think all of those sort of play into it too. When you're apprehensive about something, you're a little fearful because you're skeptical. You're not sure. You don't want somebody to steal your horse. You don't want to get convicted of stealing somebody else's horse. So never buy a horse from Brooke. That's the lesson we're going to learn today. Never buy a horse from Brooke.
Jack or car.
No, Jack.
No, we can kill Jacqueline. We can't buy a horse from Brooke. That's the lesson.
Jack.
We'll end up like.
What are some things that you might be apprehensive about? What are some things you might be apprehensive about?
The dog.
Buying a car with no.
Buying a car with no history reports, right? If you don't know a car, like you're just buying a car from, you're buying a car from like Larry down the street. You don't know anything about it at all, right? What else? What else is something that you might be apprehensive about?
Ooh,
Jacqueline?
a teacher.
You might be apprehensive of a teacher?
Like
How so?
Like you could be fearful of how they like teach a certain thing or like how much homework they give
Okay,
you.
so maybe like at the beginning of the year before a class starts, you might be apprehensive about that class because you don't necessarily know a lot about it, right? What else?
You would want to use a car a lot, but one of the cars doesn't have any mileage on it.
Okay, you're in a used car lot and you see something that seems fishy, like there's not very many miles on this car. Or you see a car that's like really beat up but it has really low miles, right? Or you see a car that looks really nice but has really high miles. Like something doesn't make sense, right? You might be a little bit apprehensive about it. Yeah, going in and having surgery or doing any type of major like medical procedure.
Going to like a new school.
Going to a new school. Yeah, you'd be very apprehensive. Yeah, they don't necessarily, you don't know what to do. So you can be apprehensive about a lot of things. You get a little fearful. You're not always sure what to do. I like adding skeptical in there because sometimes you're apprehensive in a good way. Fearful makes it sound like being apprehensive is a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing, right? Like, if you just met a guy, just a random guy, let's call him Jimbo. Where you're gonna meet Jimbo. Jimbo's just walking down the street, and he says, "Hey, hi. I built a plane this weekend in my garage, and I want to know if you want to come skydiving out of my plane. It's only $10 to go skydiving out of my plane. What do you think?
Yeah.
Would you be a little apprehensive?
Yes.
Yeah. He could be.
No, before his plane will be
Black
pretty
on
bad.
the face.
Is there good reason to be apprehensive?
Yes.
Yes. There's a lot of good things to be skeptical about. You don't know this guy. He says he built a plane in his garage.
Like you build a tree.
Right? It's not impossible to build a tree in your garage. It's possible to build a tree in your garage. It's not impossible to build a plane in your garage. People have done it before. But is it something you really want to take up high enough to go jump out of?
What would you say?
No, I would say no. No,
No.
especially once I found out his name was Jimbo. Explicit. Explicit. What does explicit mean?
Hitchhiker.
Explicit. What?
Fancy kind of? Like,
Fancy? Explicit. This is the most explicit mustard I've ever had. What do you think?
Tasteful, good.
Tasteful, good.
Isn't it like, it's kind of like inappropriate music. It kind of
Explicit material. We put the explicit material label on music that is inappropriate for children under 18. I think it is. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's inappropriate. What does explicit mean? Anybody else have a guess? But I promise you, it's not fancy.
swear words.
Well, explicit material would mean swear words, yes. But the word explicit means clearly and in detail. Something that is explicit is clear and in detail. So the reason why they use explicit lyrics is because the lyrics themselves, there's nothing being held back, right? They are using explicit terms. They are clearly stating how they feel about a certain thing using very vulgar language because they feel a very vulgar way. Vulgar. We do have one more word that's not on this list. I just couldn't finish. So we have explicit. Explicit. No, explicit. One of the most common ways that we think of it explicit is when we think about the explicit lyrics. But it's not always the way it's used. Sometimes you can explain something explicitly. When you explain something explicitly, it means you make it clear. And it's very detailed, right? So it is clear. So something that is explicit is stated clearly and in detail. Our last one. Idiosyncrasy. Idiosyncrasy.
Crazy.
Crazy? Maybe. Anybody else have one for idiosyncrasy? Yes.
Something very stupid, idiotic.
Nope, not stupid or idiotic. Oh, I guess that could be an option. Once you find out what it means. Emma, do you have a guess or are you just stretching? Okay. Idiosyncrasy. An oddity that makes him or her unique. So any type of oddity that makes you unique or makes someone else unique is an idiosyncrasy. It's something that makes you unique. It could that's why I said it could be an option. That is something that could make someone unique. Can anybody think of?
Oh, crazy.
Does anybody have an idiosyncrasy of their own that they would like to share instead of pointing out somebody else's idiosyncrasies? Because it's never very nice. It's never very nice to point out other people's idiosyncrasies. Does anybody else have one? In just a second. Anybody have an idiosyncrasy that something that makes you unique? Yes.
I have doggies.
You have a lot of dogs, right? And you train dogs.
Yeah.
Yes, and you show dogs. That is something that makes you unique, right? Does anybody else in class have a lot of dogs that they train and take to dog shows?
I like it.
Probably not really. It's something that makes you unique, right?
I'm a triplet.
You're a triplet. There's an idiosyncrasy that makes you unique, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Idiosyncrasy that makes you unique.
Yeah.
Very good.
I have two things.
Okay.
Instead of triplet, I'm a twin.
Okay.
And my dad, he does like horse shows. And now I do horse shows.
Okay.
Instead of dog shows.
Something that makes you unique, right? So idiosyncrasy is something that makes someone unique, a specific trait about them that makes them slightly different from everybody else. Okay? Mine is that I'm really quiet and subdued.
Well, maybe whenever you sit in the back row or in the second row.
I always thought I was really quiet.
No.
I'm
Maybe
really
Mr.
shy.
Coley.
I'll take
You
that.
agree on that?
Yes. What? You're 12 and you're 5'8". That is that is an idiosyncrasy. Are you probably what one of the tallest girls in school?
The tallest.
Or at least in 7th grade.
Isn't Tanisha at 6? Oh, he's taller than Courtney.
I would I had Dino's tie battle. She was an 8th grader last year. I had her last year. She's also very, very tall. Ty was very tall girl. She plays basketball for JCA now. But yes, it's idiosyncrasies are those one little thing, the little thing that makes you unique, something different that makes you unique. Okay. We have one other word that I couldn't fit on our chart. Hi. Thank you. Let's see. The last word. I gotta go pull it up. I couldn't fit it on the chart. It wouldn't let me add any more space, so I couldn't put it on our chart. But I want to tell you what it is. Our last word is cadaver. It's C-A-D-A-V-E-R. C-A-D-A-V-E-R. Cadaver. Right here.
What does it mean?
We got it.
Dead body. Courtney said she's a cadaver. Is that a bad thing? It's a dead body.
Dead body.
What is a cadaver? What's a cadaver? It's a dead body.
Oh, Courtney said she's a
Yeah.
cadaver. Courtney said she's a
What?
A dead body. A cadaver.
Mentality.
Does everybody have their list together?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got about like 30 seconds left before this period.
No, it's only like, yeah.
No, that class been like early.
No, it's
These are the same thing.
20 days been late by the
All right. I'll let you guys stay until the bell rings, and then we will get started on our next. Where did I put mine?
Okay.
You're a liar, it's not early.
No, I dropped.
Mr. Bit, are we supposed to turn this
Oh, wait, no.
No, not that one. You need to hold on to it.
We still have another minute.
Oh,
A whole minute. We still have Mr. Bitter?
Yeah.
Can I go to the bathroom?
I don't know. Can you? No.
You said it
The
right.
bell's gonna ring in 30 seconds.
I can't hold it. Start running up.
Hey, his name is Frank.
Yeah, you guys are really. Brooke, I think you might be about a half inch taller. Which is cool.
Who? He's wearing gym shoes.
Oh, you weren't. Oh, yeah, you weren't. Yeah.
Here.
So you guys are probably like right.
There we go.
Yeah, you guys are. Oh, that's really. I don't know who's taller. It's really close.
I was 5'8", and apparently according to my doctors, like.
What did they take part of your snout or something?
They took, first they cut off my bone and my muscle. And then they broke the cyst with a knife or something. Then they put the bone back with screws and plates. Because they had to cut out like a couple, because of your vertebrae, they have to cut it out to get down. Luckily it wasn't 8 levels, I thought it was really bad, but it's like 4. And then they got out, and then they put it back, it's like a house, they said. So they take the roof off a house, and then put it back down, and screw it back in, and then they glue it back on.
That sounds.
Really bad. That's what they told me. But the weird thing was, they told me when I took the cyst off, my whole brainwaves lit up in the machine.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole thing just lit up like crazy when they took it out. So there were some serious problems going on. So we don't know if we're still there. Maybe?
Brooke, could you do me a favor?
Yep.
Could you erase the never upload for me?
Yep. So second surgery was the worst.
Not a thing. Corey said I'm a cadaver before she knew what it meant.
Yeah, Courtney says stuff like that sometimes.
Courtney says the worst.
Saying that.
This is letting me this book. I'm scared.
Have you ever read this book, Mr. Ritter? Wait, we're going to the library.
I used to leave her here today.
She's coming to your town.
Stop having.
No!
Oh my god. OMG, I got it!
No, you don't, Zach. Get back.
OMG is intense all the time.
Get right back. Both sides.
What happens when I bring my phone to the hallway? What did you think? Wait, I'm afraid of anything.
All right. Things we're going to say. Okay. Really quickly, while I'm finishing this up, we're going to start with our first journal writing prompt of the year. Yay! All right. Let's see here. If you guys remember, where are your journals located, or where should they be located?
In the file.
The filing cabinet. Which drawer in the filing cabinet?
Top one.
Top one. Thank you. All right. So George, please go get your. Please go get your.
Mr. Ritter, can I get my phone?
Yes. Make sure you put it back in the thing that we.
Well, I didn't have it like when we did that.
Oh, okay.
Are we finishing that right now today?
Yeah, we're gonna start working on. We're gonna work on it today.
What do we finish?
Huh?
I always think this is good.
That's fine. It's like. It's
That's
a
all
journal.
Like you got to put it right now.
Oh, sit down.
Should we go get a
A
book?
journal prompt or like a page prompt?
Right then.
Like a journal prompt?
Yeah, just like everyone.
Are we doing that together? Just like,
And that is
or this is
Windows, go and get your.
Got it. This is easy. I can tell stuff.
You can't do it.
You didn't do it.
No, Rob, you had it.
Look at, I can do it.
All right.
No, it's the opposite.
Trees, please go get your journal. Well, hey, never mind. We gotta.
What?
Chris, could you grab me the? Please and thank you.
Wait, oh my god.
It's gonna be a little bit long,
If I say something,
or it might not be. Depends on how you. All right, here you go.
Oh, worthwhile. My brother has one.
Not the words that we just got done. So our vocabulary words are worthwhile words we just got done using. You need to create a story. You are going to create a story using as many of the worthwhile words you just came up with as possible. Try and use them all. Create a story using as many of the worthwhile words as possible. Try and use them all. Remember, while we're doing journal writing, we are writing, not talking.
What?
Guys, get to work. No? Those are the words we just got done working with last period. Quiet, please. There should be no talking while you were working on this. The writing activity, not talking.
How many paragraphs?
It's a story. That's up to you. It's your story. The only requirement I'm putting on you is to you. Is that the proper way to write? Then no. What is the proper way? One requirement. That's fine. You can alter it if you need it linguistically. Grammatically. You wouldn't put it in past tense because it's a noun. Someone has an idiosyncrasy they want to do, like it's not a verb. Yeah.
Alternating, not like news, like an output of news, like it's spread through everywhere.
Yeah. We're gonna stop in about 2 minutes, so if you are feeling a little short, that's okay. You will have to we'll come back and finish it for you. But keep writing. Keep writing.
I can't.
Yes. What positions are important?
Yes.
Quarterback, linebacker, running back.
Okay.
Another 30 seconds. those words as you can. As long as they make sense.
Sir, Goodman, how many sentences does that
As many as it takes to tell your story. At some point in time, you mature as a writer and you no longer start counting sentences or paragraphs. There are certain paragraph requirements for certain types of papers. Narrative writers would know all about that. Okay. Go ahead and close your. If you're in the middle of writing a sentence, finish writing your sentence, and then Doris, please put your your journal away. Trees, go ahead and put your. Okay. Finally, Windows, go ahead and put yours away.
Hey, so funny.
Mr. Bender, I used all the words, but I don't know if it makes sense.
How many of you were able to use all the words? Everybody able to use? You only used two of them?
No, I used all of them.
All but two.
I used every one.
What were the most difficult words to use?
It's pain.
What was the
Dead
most,
body, like
a cadaver?
a cadaver.
Cadaver?
That was
Oh.
the easiest one.
I know, it's like
Kangaroo court?
you bet you-
Alright, let's go. This needs to move a little bit quicker. You can't find them? Alright. Have a seat, guys. Once you're done. Alright. Here's the next thing that we are going to do. The next thing that we're going to do, I passed out a cause and effect sheet for you. We are going to watch a little story that we should all be rather, I'm hoping we're all familiar with. But we're going to be looking for cause and effect. This is a story that is full of cause and effect. So we're going to watch for it. So you're going to be looking for a cause, right? An initial cause. And then you're going to be looking for the effects of those cause, of that cause. Because sometimes one particular cause, one thing that can happen, can have multiple effects. So far we've talked about how a particular cause, one cause, can have a chain reaction of effects that become other causes and then other effects and other causes and other effects. But sometimes one particular cause can have multiple effects, right? You could have, let's say you don't get enough sleep tonight when you go home. You don't get enough sleep. For some reason you decide to stay up really, really late watching Yo Gabba Gabba. I don't know why you decided to watch that, but that's what you decided to watch. And you're way too late watching Yo Gabba Gabba. And you don't get any sleep. You get maybe 35 minutes of sleep, right? Because you finally decided to fall asleep during the infomercials. So you get a half hour of sleep before you wake up this morning. You could have multiple effects, right? So the cause is you don't get enough sleep. And you could have multiple effects. You could be cranky throughout the day and you yell at your best friend. You could do poorly on a quiz that you have in Mr. Bittner's class. And so you don't get a very good grade. Then you could also be running late, or you don't, and you end up getting tardies for class. And then also you could maybe fall asleep in Mr. Bittner's class, and then you really get tardies. Right? So there could be multiple effects for one single cause. So that's what I want you to be looking at while we're watching this story. What are some of the effects? What are some of the examples of the effects? And I think it's going to be pretty obvious what they are once we start with our story. Okay? So once you find out what the story is, please don't just get all excited and yell out. We're going to watch this. Be fine. It's a wonderful little story. We don't have this book.
Quite follow through.